record. All right, hey guys, welcome to our July power planning. I was just sending out some last minute reminders. I have my agenda for this entire power planning, but I do want to show you guys something really quickly before we're sharing my screen, share. I want to make sure, I was going to talk about some training materials today, but I want to make sure that everyone notices on this is your main page, right? Down here on the bottom, the make the call button. This is all the information regarding the silent promo. What I don't know really if we're calling it make the call initiative, but basically what the corporate call was about last week, about what Susan and Lindsay talked about on a call that they did. So please know that you guys do have some information in your cloud now, and I just want to make sure everyone saw that before we got started. Okay, so let me unshare my screen. How do I stop share? There we go. Okay. All right, so we're going to get ready for the month of July, and a couple things I want to make sure you have before we get started. Number one is your calendar. You got to have your calendar. Number two is your auto ship tracker and several of these bad boys, because I want to make sure that that you're ready for the month. I use a binder and a calendar. That's how I operate. I also am going to share with you guys, I'm working on my planner for July. I'm going to share that with you guys today too. But I just want to go over a couple of things really quick. The first thing, I got to share that damn screen again. Hang on, share that screen, share. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to make sure you guys were all aware of, here's your main page of your cloud, right? You go to resources, you go to training materials. I had 3 different messages last week about where they could find the social media disclosure. Right there it is. Okay. But more importantly, for what we're doing today, down here on this bottom part, this is where I prefer the income producing planner, because that's the one that has all the lines on it to write in. And I also, am I looking right? Where did it go? I know I just showed it to you guys. Personal auto ship tracker. Personal threw me off. So I like to print that one up too. I like to have a new fresh one every month. And the reason I used to try to use the same one, but as you're adding people and as people are shifting things around, maybe like I had a gal last month that went on vacation. So instead of the 25th, we push it to the 5th. So it just gets kind of scribbly, if you will. So I like to start off with a fresh one, and typically by the end of the month, it's a little bit scribbly, but I like to start fresh. So those are the things I like to start having my month like blank in front of me. And when I say in front of me, for those of you guys that have not been on one of my power plans before, I am a huge fan of the giant desktop calendar. It is what helps me keep my life in order. So you do you, but I like paper and pen. I prefer this big giant thing in front of me so I can actually put what I call the boulders of life. So like my boulders are my team Zoom happens every Monday. Wi-Fi Wealth happens every Wednesday. I have my auto ship days on here. I have free credit day on here, which by the way, you all have your free credits today. I like to start that way, because then when I'm thinking ahead, so let's pretend I'm not this month, but let's pretend I was traveling in the month of July and I happen to look and be like, ooh, I'm going to miss my team Zoom on the 10th. Should I pre-record something? Should I ask someone to speak instead of me? Like, you can think ahead of things instead of reacting and responding, right? Like, you can be proactive. So your blank calendar, your auto ship tracker. I like to print 4 to 5 of the income producing activities page to have that ready. And then if you guys follow me, which I don't recommend that we all follow everyone, but I do have an activity tracker that I share. Oh, I need to stop sharing my screen. Sorry, I just realized it's like I'm new at this. I have an activity tracker that I keep on the front of my binder, just a little something to help keep me accountable. I actually track my activity, but you guys, you can track whatever. If you're like, man, I'm really sucking at reels this month, or I'm really doing a horrible job with, I don't know, making my bed every day. Print a tracker. Yes, it's kind of like a 5-year-old, but when you get to color in that little star for the day, I don't know, it gets me going. And I know it gets a lot of people going. So it may seem weird, but hi, Sandra, but trackers are good. Are you, see, people are showing us their trackers. Yes.
Hey, I wanted to tell you, I started tracking with y'all in February, I think it was, but I started tracking my miles. And the first month, I didn't even get 90 miles in. And I finished this month with over 120.
Atta girl. Heck yeah. And you know why she was able to do that, you guys? Because she was tracking it. what is it? You can't change what you can't track or whatever. Like when people say, oh, I'm going to walk more miles, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to track it. When you say, oh, I'm going to do more reach outs, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to track it. That's why printing off, for me, the paperwork is so important, because if I tell you I'm going to keep track of people in my phone, do you see what my phone looks like most of the time? It's blank. Oh, I hit it. So it's got the time. Most of the time, my phone is blank. It's not reminding me, but I cannot look down on my desk and not see this, right? It's right there in front of me. So again, you do what works for you. Susan says I have to track to remember to take all my products, exercise, track food, protein, talking the stories real. Yes, girl, yes. All the things. It's been a game changer. Yes. And I am going to share with you guys today my planner. Sandra, you've seen it because I know you were using it for a while. But I just think it's so important. So let me go through my list here really quickly, though, of the stuff we need to do before we start any of that. So I showed you where the resources were. Okay, so the first thing I need you guys to do is we're going to gather all the names of all your customers who placed an order in the month of June. So to do that, you're going to get into your cloud. Let me see. I can't keep sharing my screen because apparently I can't remember to turn it off. All right, so you're going to get into your cloud. You're going to go into the menu. You're going to go to my team. You're going to go to my customers. At the top where you see customer number, customer name, email, scroll to the right until you see last order. You're going to click that button twice. It's going to populate it by date. Every person that you see on that list that has June something as their last order, you can write their names down. You can screenshot them, again, whatever works for you. But as far as I'm concerned, all of these people that order that I'm looking at, they are all getting a thank you card from me. And some of you might have been super efficient and did that yesterday on the first of the month, but I did not. So I like to write those names down. I like to do a thank you card. I mean, a true, legitimate handwritten thank you card. And I have the worst handwriting. I don't know what happened over the short period I've been alive, but it's bad. But I still take the time to handwrite it. I slow myself down to try to make it legible. Some months I throw in a Pink Pro or a Blast or why am I blanking on the thing I drink every day now that Rebuild? I will throw something like that. And then some months I don't. It just depends on what do I have on hand? What kind of time and effort do I have? What did this person order, or do I want them to try something new? So you go with whatever works for you, but take the effort to bare minimum, send a card. Have you ever gotten a card from someone you purchased from? Like, I think I shared this on my team Zoom last week, but the guy I bought my Land Rover friend from sent me a canned email, which annoyed me, and I deleted it. Had he taken the time to write me a handwritten card, I would have been like, even if the words were like the same thing he wrote to everyone else, that would have meant a whole lot more to me than the canned email that he copied and pasted, right? So put yourself in your customer's shoes. What would it mean to them? Susan said, I did Rebuild last week with a QR code that Sam taught us. This month I'm doing Duo Elite. Yes, you guys, anytime you can do a DFT, those bad boys mail super easy. You don't have to pay any extra postage for that. And I'm a huge fan of the QR code. If you don't know how to do it, there are trainings in the Team Freedom Thrivers page where Samantha talked about it. But you can also just Google, it's Google, Google how to create a free QR code, and Google will tell you how to do it, or YouTube it, whatever you're good at. Okay, so that's our first list of names. Now our second list of names is a very similar process. You're still going to be under my team. You're still going to be under my customers. Only this time at the top, discard. At the top, you want to go all the way to the far end where it says next auto ship. And again, you want to click that button twice. It's going to populate it by order. So now we're looking for anybody with a 7, a July, a 7-5, 7-10, whatever. And it's really important that you guys all know, if you don't already know this, if you haven't seen it or you haven't processed this in your brain, July 5th auto ships are actually processing tomorrow on the 3rd. So anyone that says July 5th and you're thinking, gosh, I've got until Wednesday to talk to them, you don't. You need to talk to them today, like right now. It's just get off the Zoom, catch the replay later, go talk to them now, because they have a charge hitting their card tomorrow morning and they have an order processing. So do the best customer service you have. Let them know that because of the holiday, it's going to go out early. But again, anybody that should be going on the 5th, and it will show in the cloud office, it will say July 5th. However, it is really July 3rd. Okay. So I like to write down, that's why I was showing you guys the blank, oh sheesh, the blank. I like to go ahead at the first of the month and write everything down, knowing that this is a moving, it's like a game board, right? Like people will be moving around. Some people will skip a month or change a day or sometimes add, like you just never know what people are doing. So I'm going to take the time, and I want you guys to also take the time, go ahead and fill in your auto ship tracker, whether you keep it on a post-it note or a whatever, or on your calendar, however it works for you. But now's the time to write down those names of who is getting an order on what day. Okay. You guys keep writing if you need to. So now that you have that information in front of you of who is auto shipping, like I said, anyone on the 5th, you want to like reach out today, make sure you're connecting with them because they're going to actually process tomorrow morning. But I also like to kind of, I don't, it's not like it's my hit list, but these are people who I want to make sure that I'm talking to prior to needing to talk to them about their auto ship. So for example, on the 15th, my friend Michelle, if I wait until the 14th every month to talk to her, that, I mean, I might as well send a canned email, right? Like the thing that's annoying. I'm going to make sure when I see her name that I see her on my list for the 15th, I'm going to actually put her in my calendar to contact probably tomorrow and then maybe in 4 or 5 days. And when I say contact, I'm not necessarily, sometimes it's a message, sometimes it's commenting on something that they post. Um, she's going to be getting a thank you card from me, obviously prior to her 15th auto ship from her last month's 15th auto ship. So I just try to make sure that I touch these people in some way, shape, or form at least twice a month, not including when I, hey, just want to make sure that you didn't want to try that new flavor shake, or did you want to, last month we added rebuild for you to try. Do you want to stick with that on your auto ship, or do you want to go back to, I don't know, making stuff up? But you know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be that important conversation to have with somebody, but I also want them to know prior to that I'm paying attention, that I'm looking out for them, because that's just life. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Like how many times have you heard that? But it's true. It truly is true. Okay, so we've got our thank you cards, we've got our auto ships. I want to ask everyone, this is a favor to me, but also a favor to you. I want you to pick a day of the week, just whatever day of the week you want to pick. And I want you to put an alarm in your phone. And on that alarm, I want it to say, comment on the customer page. Because we have really great customer pages, and not everyone watching this is on the same customer page, so I won't use customer page names. But if you are in customer pages, and maybe you're in a couple, maybe you're upline and downline and everyone have, maybe you're more than one, those pages are only as good as the interaction that they have. So our customer page is phenomenal, I think. And we do have a few people who are very consistent in keeping the comments and interaction going, which I truly, truly appreciate. But I would love to see more people doing it. And I know anyone who has a customer page would love to see that. So pick a day. Maybe Wednesday is your customer page day. Maybe Friday afternoon is your whatever. Just pick one day a week, set a timer, and then just go into your customer page and find some of the newer posts and actually make a comment. I notice, especially for our page, a lot of the posts are like, hey, what are you doing? Like it's usually a question. Like today, TJ made a post in ours about Sunday setup, and he talked about the food prep that he does on Sunday. And he was like, what do you guys do? Well, I don't want that to sit there with nothing on it, right? Like I want to answer. I want other people to answer, because I know of the hundreds of people in that group, people are food prepping. So again, pick a day, set a timer, and just, it's very short, sweet, and simple. Go in and comment on 1 or 2 things so that the page is constantly interacting and constantly moving. Ronnie says, all of my auto ships canceled for June and happy to say that 2 have come back. Yeah, girl, way to go, Ronnie. So just real quick, and I don't know, Ronnie, what you did during the month of June when they decided to cancel, but something I always like to tell people is don't panic when someone cancels or has to drop off of an auto ship for a little bit. We've all had hard times in our life where we've had to pull back from something. And unfortunately for the person, Thrive was the thing that they chose to pull back from. Well, A, a lot of times they come back because they missed their Thrive, right? B, a lot of times they come back because the promoter who they had to cancel on didn't take it personal, didn't cut them off, and stayed in their life. So hopefully, Ronnie, that means that you kept in contact with them. You just kept sharing your love of Thrive, and they just kept seeing it, which I'm assuming is what, oh, I did panic, she said. We can internally panic, but don't panic on the customer and like start begging them to put their auto ship in. Especially because we have the option when anyone, like it used to be, if they didn't want to auto ship, then they didn't auto ship. We at least now have evolved into, hey, I can't, like I had a gal who should have shipped on the 25th of June. She went on vacation, forgot to pack her Thrive. Clearly, she's a new Thriver. None of us ever forget our Thrive. And so we pushed it back to July 5th. So it wasn't that we have to totally cancel anymore. We can skip a month. We can move our ship date. So we at least have options. So now I think that is less panicking, that you can say, oh, no problem. When would you like to reschedule it for? You know, should we wait a couple weeks? Do we need to skip a whole month? Like you can actually give them options now, which I think is phenomenal. As a customer, I appreciate that, but also as a promoter, I appreciate that. Okay. And I just want to, I'm going to say, and I'm going to talk about this when I show you my planner here in a minute, but are you staying in front of your team? So one of the things that I know a lot of us right now, the big push is make sure you're adding to your teams. Well, always, but make sure you're reaching out to people who might possibly be part of another direct sales network that's not doing well, and letting them know that we have a great thing here. And I think it's very easy to see some people who are just running with it and like signing up 20 people every hour, it seems like. But I also think it's really important to remember you have a team, and that team needs to know that they are loved and valued, because it's very easy for them to also go sign up somewhere else, right? Not like another Thriver, but like they could jump ship as well. So I always think it's important to not only build your team, but build up your team. And so one of the things that I've been working on, and I'll show you on my planner here, are you staying in front of your team? Is your name showing up in their life a lot? So in other words, I'm not a big fan of following a ton of Thrivers. It's not good for business if I'm following all the Thrivers. However, I am friends, obviously, with my Thrivers. I've just maybe hid them from my timeline. So I like to go through my sponsorship report and pick 2 names a day to go find. So how do I find them? Maybe I find them on Facebook. Maybe I find them on Instagram. Maybe I find them in my phone as a text message. But I like to make sure every day I'm connecting with 2 people on my team. Maybe it's something as simple as commenting on a picture of their little girl playing softball. Maybe it's something like, hey, how did it go last week with, your mom, whatever. But I make sure to stay in contact with them, not to overwhelm them, because there's a lot of people and I'm only doing 2 people a day, and it doesn't overwhelm me, but it does make sure that I stay in the front of their mind. Because if you've ever been a part of something where you're like, oh yeah, I mean, even a boyfriend, right? Like, oh, they were all about me when we first started dating, and now it's like, right? I don't want anyone to feel that way about the way I run my business, or themselves. And B, when you allow that gap to happen, then it is easy for someone to get swayed to maybe a different company or something. So I'm all about building my team, but I'm also about building up my team. So again, you could chat with them, you could do comments on their posts, you can do text messaging with them, whatever it is. And I just, and sometimes it might even be like I see somebody made a reel and I'm like, oh my gosh, great job making a reel, because reels are kind of hard sometimes. So it could be something where you're connecting with them about business. We're like, hey, great job on your reel, or great job on your new customer. Or it can also just be, on a personal level. But I like to stay in front of my team because I want them to know that I'm still here. all the time. Okay, with that, I'm going to zip it and I'm going to share my screen again. So let's hope I don't forget to turn this off later. Sharing. Okay, this is the planner that I used to buy a planner from a gal and I liked it, but I wanted it to be more me. So what I like to do at the beginning of every month is create what I call my top 10 goals. And these are pretty broad goals, and I'm sharing my goals here today. Health is my top priority. That's a very broad goal, right? You could narrow that down. Maybe your goal is run a 5K by the end of the month, or drop 10 pounds by the end of the month, or I don't know, whatever. Like you could get real specific like that. I'm just in a point in time in my life where just my health in general, everything from the water I drink to the sleep I get to all that, just my top priority. So that's what mine is titled. Building my future vision. I realized at the beginning of the year, I do a really great job with vision boards and things like that, but I definitely have felt for all of the month of June, if you guys were on any of my Zooms, you know, I was very open about the fact that I felt kind of like blah. And I'm kind of realizing, I think it's because I got away from like getting laser focused on my future. So that's one of my goals, is to get really laser focused on that again. Bulletproofing my mindset, because I, like all of you, struggle daily with the voice in the back of my head that says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not fast enough, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Build my social media following, because I just think that there's no way to build a business without building your social media following. We have another business that I sometimes forget about during the day because I get kind of busy and I have to make sure I don't forget about it. So just 10 to 30 minutes a day, I've got to put orders in and make social media posts for that business. 4 new customers a month is my goal. That's always my goal. So it's really easy to have that goal, but to see it on my planner every single day, that's what's helpful. Staying current on QuickBooks. You guys all know I hate paperwork, so I have to put that on there. Home and garden improvement, because it's very easy in life to get sucked up into working all the time or into playing all the time, and then realizing that your laundry piled up, or like maybe health is your top priority, but you got really busy this week and you forgot to go to the grocery or ran out of time. So I make sure and put things like that in, and then have fun, which may seem really weird for some people, but I have to make sure that I tell myself to have fun. Anyway, so why it's important to me to come up with my top 10, and why I think it's important for you to come up with your top 10, is because if I know my goals for the month, then I can go into my day. Like, okay, so if my health is my top priority today, what is an action or actions that I can take to keep my health as top priority? Number 1 could be take my daily walk. Number 2 could be eat a healthy breakfast. Number 3 could be make sure I take my move. Move works really well when you take it, but some days I forget, right? So I will print this off for the day and I will handwrite in. And I think it's important to handwrite in those things, because that is my brain and my body committing to what I'm going to do, right? It's easy to say I want to take a walk, but if I write down I'm taking a walk, then I want to do it. Building my future vision, that's a really broad goal, like I said. So maybe one day that means cutting out pictures. Maybe one day that means Googling real estate. Maybe one day that means going to the store and actually buying a poster board. Like it can mean something different every day. And some days it might actually just mean, hey, Tammy, sit down for 10 minutes and think about where you want to go, right? It could be physical or it could be mental. Bulletproofing my mind. I definitely always every day listen to a podcast while I'm walking, but the podcasts I keep listening to lately keep telling me to read. So I put book back on there. So podcast, next to that, it might say 30 minutes, or it might say the name of the podcast. Book, it might say 30 minutes or the name of the book. I don't know why I'm such a bad reader. Anyway, social media, it's very easy again to say you want to do it, but what am I going to do? How am I building that following? I'm definitely going to talk on my stories. And so that little opening right there, that is for me to say 2 times, 5 times. It cannot say 0 at the end of the day. It has to have a number next to it. And then a reel, again, can't say 0 at the end of the day. But that's easy. So my goal was Thrive customers, right? We all have a goal of getting customers every month, right? That's why we do all the things that we do. But in addition to your standard, like to me, this is, I think I've said this before, your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to me is like if you owned a store, every morning you have to open the door and flip the sign to open. That's your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? You're not even open for business if you're not doing that. Well, in addition to that, what am I going to do to get those 4 new customers? So today could be send out thank you cards and ask for a referral. Like actually in the thank you card, thank you so much for your order. It's been great. You know, I love working with you on your health goals. If you have any friends you think I could help, I'd be happy to. So again, like I could ask for a referral. Maybe tomorrow to get my 4 new customers, I put a sample offer in my stories. Maybe the next day to get 4 new customers, I announce that I have $50 in credits, like something in addition to the basics every single day. Because if I don't, I shouldn't say you, if I don't put that on my planner, then I will do my basics every single day. That's all I'll do. I'm just honest with myself. I know I have to remind myself. So build up dream team. So again, that's going to be where I reach out to 2 people a day. That's also where I like to do my team Zoom. That's also where I like to do my Wi-Fi wealth. That's also where I like to do maybe my email room. I like set up my group posts of the where you can, as an admin, you actually schedule them. So like I can put in dream team, hey, it's Monday morning, it's time to do work with me with Susan. It's Wednesday, it's time to do work with me with Lindsay, like that kind of stuff. Like and again, that's stuff that if I don't remind myself to do, it'll be Monday at 9:15. I'll be like, oh crap, I forgot to tell my team to get on the Zoom, right? Current QuickBooks, that's just me making myself do it. Home and garden, again, it could be something simple like laundry. It could be maybe plant a tree. Now, for me, if it says have fun, that could be planting a tree also, or that could be lunch with a friend. And then down here, my planner, the thing that my old planners used to focus on was this right here, right? So busy, right? So busy. Well, I now know exactly what needs to fill in these lines because I know what's important up here. So if I have said I'm taking a walk, I got to find a spot down here to take that walk. If I've said I'm going to sit down and write out thank you cards, I got to find a time down here to do it. Now, I may have a dentist appointment at 1 o'clock. I may have dinner with a friend at 8. That's okay. Now I know what needs to go around this. Some of you may be like, well, Tammy, I'm at work from 9 to 5. Great, good. What are you doing before 9 and what are you doing after 5? That's how you find the time to do the top 10 things for your day. And I used to struggle with this one, the what are you grateful for in the planner, because I don't know, it just seemed like an extra thing to fill out. I'm just being honest. But we all know that when you come from a place of gratitude, your whole day goes better. So I've just gotten really good at making sure I fill that out. Things I don't want to forget, maybe it's drop off the deposit at the bank. I got stuff to take back to the UPS store from Amazon. And then last but not least, for me, this is really important because it's something I struggle with. It's take time for myself. So this might be, I don't know. I struggle to take time for myself. Maybe I'm going to go get my toes painted. I don't know. But I try to put that down there. That doesn't get filled out every single day. But my goal is to do something every single day for myself. So anyway, this is how I do best with my planner of keeping track of the big goals and then breaking them down into my day-to-day activities of action steps to actually get me there. Because at the end of the month, if I go back and I look, it's a lot like this tracker. Whoops. It's a lot like this tracker, right? I can go back at the end of the month. Where was the end of the month? This was June. I can go back at the end of the month and see that I only missed 2 days of my morning walk. One said rest day. Maybe I didn't feel good. And the other one said rain. So that's why these are important to me, because it's very easy to get very busy and to get very caught up, especially in the summer. There's places to go, people to see, things to do, lots of fun stuff, right? It's very easy to forget that, oh, I wanted to be building my social media this month. I wanted to be building my team this month. I was dedicated to 4 new customers. But if I have that printed out every single day, and a lot of times I will plan my, like last night, I planned out today. Sometimes it doesn't pan out and I have to plan out my day first thing in the morning. But to me, where these blanks are, that's where the magic happens, because I physically write out what I'm going to do. And sometimes here where it says talking stories, I will write above that, like what I think I might talk about today. You know, like maybe I need an idea of something to talk about. Or same with a reel. Maybe I need an idea of a reel. So this is me. This is real life with Tammy. This was me planning my month. I have my big calendar out with my Wi-Fi wealths on Wednesdays, my team Zooms at noon. I've got the power plans written down. I've got the team-wide Zoom for Tuesday nights written down. I've got my sister's birthday on here. I've got a festival we're going to, my haircut. Like you gotta learn to do this business around your life. And a lot of you have to learn to do it around a job, which I did for 8 years. So I totally get it. But you have to master this part. You got to decide. I only fill in my 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with something that makes my life go in the right direction. right? Like if somebody says, hey, do you want to go eat ice cream for 5 hours? Well, health is my top priority, so I really shouldn't. So I'm not going to fill that time up. Like I know that's an extreme example, but I'm just saying you gotta guard your time. If you have 10 goals that are pushing you this month and you only have so many hours in a day to do them, guard your time. All right, so my 30 minutes is up. I hope this was helpful. Let me stop sharing here for a second. Oh, sorry, there's questions. Where did you make this? It's in Canva. I realize now that I had an awesome May for the simple fact that I stayed on track. It's in Canva. I do have a blank, like that's mine, obviously. But I have the blank one. I can send you the blank one if you want it, and then you can just, type in what you need. So yeah, okay, well, that's it. I will see you guys at the beginning of, this is July. It'll be August. It's crazy. We're halfway there, kids. See you next month. Bye.